Today I'm reacting to your Friday Night SmackDown Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. Now, if you are looking for our 40-minute plus review of this particular episode of Friday Night SmackDown, it's already up and available on the Patreon with footage so that you can see exactly what it is that we're talking about. Over on the Patreon, we upload the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and a whole bunch of match watch-alongs that we can never upload here because it would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out, link in the description or link in the pinned comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm incredibly confident that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's talk about this wild episode of Friday Night SmackDown and read your stupid shit. This promo definitely went off of script and was 100% real. This made their feud arguably more entertaining for their match. It certainly felt that way. It certainly felt like they went completely off script, said screw it, let's just insult each other by saying some ruthlessly personal things like the 0-3 in marriages line, which is crazy, or the desperate Ludwig Kaiser is in my DMs line right before the end of the promo. Now, I'm seeing some conflicting reports saying that some of those lines were unscripted and that they might have stepped over the line to the point where Netflix has actually removed them from their video on demand version of this episode of Friday Night SmackDown, but I can confirm that that's wrong. Right before I hit record, I went to the VOD of Friday Night SmackDown on Netflix in Canada, and everything is there completely unedited. So I don't really know what to believe. It certainly felt unscripted. It certainly felt like Charlotte was completely rattled by some of the lines that Tiffany Stratton said, and more than anything, was completely rattled by this crowd that wouldn't let her say a single word. Which, by the way, people feel bad that the crowd ruined Charlotte's promo. I think it's kind of poetic and cathartic that the crowd that is behind Tiffany Stratton is the one interrupting Charlotte when Charlotte a couple of weeks ago was the one continuously interrupting Tiffany Stratton. So I think it's just fair game. Listen, it definitely felt like they blurred the lines between reality and fiction. I don't know what was real and what wasn't. And to me, even though I didn't think that either of the promos were particularly good, we're talking about it. In fact, if you look at the replies of this thread on X, this was by far the most talked about topic, and that to me is a W for this match, which was a match that had very little to almost no buzz going into WrestleMania, and now it has plenty of it. It might not necessarily be the best buzz that you'll want to have, but at the very least, it's something. Either this was completely real, Charlotte was legitimately rattled, Tiffany Stratton was actually pissed, or we are being like wonderfully and to the levels of legendary levels of being worked. Either way, I thought this segment was so bad, it was good. I was entertained by it, and I'm strapped to my seat for whatever this match is gonna look like at WrestleMania. It almost feels like they're actually gonna fight each other at WrestleMania and throw some elbows and some real haymakers. Look, I'm here for this. Am I the only one that feels like that promo was a little odd? That felt very personal, especially with Tiffany bringing up Charlotte's divorce. Okay, so the divorce topic with Charlotte, I thought was a very sensitive thing considering she hadn't really confirmed the divorce up until like right before this episode of Friday Night SmackDown. And the fact that she's come out and talked about it leads me to, at the very least, assume that Tiffany Stratton maybe actually had the go-ahead green light from Charlotte herself to bring it up. I just find it a little bit coincidental that we had Charlotte open up about her divorce, and then now finally somebody is using it against her in a promo. I don't know. To me, it doesn't really seem like a coincidence like that is a normal thing. I hope that she got the green light at least, because if she just pulled that out of her back pocket and completely sideswiped Charlotte with it, that's crazy. But yeah, it did feel odd, and I feel like the main reason why it felt odd is because to me, it is clear as day that these two have no chemistry with each other, and it almost feels like they have no desire to work with each other. Compare this to, and I know it's a bit of a stretch to compare them to Cody Rhodes and John Cena, but Cody Rhodes and John Cena, that was like a perfect ballad. They were dancing with each other perfectly and teeing each other up for home runs. These two were just trying to steamroll over each other. This match is a joke. The women's tag titles are awful. Listen, I'm trying to find the silver lining here. The silver lining is that we're going to get the women's tag titles at WrestleMania, and more than anything, that Liv Morgan is going to get a spot at WrestleMania. But this definitely feels like a rush token women's tag team match for the sake of having something on the card. And this, to me, is a stark visual representation representation of how dead this women's tag team division is. We have Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, albeit they actually are a tag team, have been completely off of TV aside from last week where they finally appeared. We have Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, who have a match the previous week for the Intercontinental Championship and are now being put together in a tag team. Sure, PFC, that's fine, but they've been off of TV forever. Michin and BFAB, they're just literally singles competitors being put together for the sake of just being put together. I like that the Secret Hervis is there, but then Natalia and Maxine Dupree is also something that's just come out of nowhere and is incredibly recent. Literally, they have given us a visual representation of how done this women's tag team division is. It's too bad because I really felt like Liv Morgan deserved something with a little bit more substance, something that was a little bit more narrative driven going into WrestleMania. At least she's going to be on the card, but it's going to be a match that might end up being really good, by the way, but it feels like it's a match for the sake of throwing a match together. And I wish they would do better for the women's division. Don't let tonight fool you. Tiffany and Charlotte had to shoot to get people to care about this. There is no chemistry, and this story is just atrocious. Let's just get through WrestleMania and hope that they do not interact for a long, long time. You know what? I hate to be cynical, but I kind of vibe with what you're saying here. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you, I thought that segment between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte was complete hot ass garbage. But just because I thought it was garbage doesn't mean that I wasn't entertained by it and that it didn't work. It completed its task of getting me to care about this match. But Tiffany's promo wasn't good. The zingers were great, but the promo was pretty poor. And Charlotte, that might have been the worst performance in Charlotte's WWE career as a promo or character worker. Bro, she literally gave up mid-promo, like actually gave up and said, whatever, Tiffy, you say your lines, I'm done with trying here. But I think more than anything, what I've learned from this feud is justification for what I was saying earlier, that I just didn't think that babyface Tiffany Stratton was gonna work. If they can't make an interesting, good Tiffany Stratton as a babyface against a Charlotte that everyone detests, I just don't see how they're gonna make this work in the long run. Tiffany Stratton should just be a heel. Hell, the most interesting that she's been was in this promo where she was basically being a heel, saying some of the most ruthless shit ever. But yeah, this story, these promos have just not been very good. The chemistry is not there. Fingers crossed that the in-ring chemistry is there, because I think at this point we're just banking on an awesome match. I found it interesting that they went with LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu instead of Solo versus Fatu. I'm not super interested with the LA Knight feud at the moment. I wish they did Solo versus Fatu. Solo will miss WrestleMania. I was actually surprised with the outcome of having Jacob Fatu win the last man standing match and go on to WrestleMania to have a singles match, but I was pleasantly surprised. I'm happy that Jacob Fatu is going to be getting a championship opportunity at WrestleMania in a singles match environment. I do think that they're still going to be doing Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, and it's probably going to be the post-WrestleMania program. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob Fatu wins at WrestleMania, and that's enough to make Solo Sikoa crack and go after Jacob Fatu because he's jealous that somebody else brought gold to the family and it wasn't him. Maybe it goes even deeper than that. Maybe Solo Sikoa cost Jacob Fatu the match at WrestleMania, but I don't see that actually being the case. But yeah, Solo's gonna miss WrestleMania, which is kind of crazy considering he was like the biggest bad guy in the WWE through the majority of 2024. But even though that's the case, I just don't think I can make a good case to have him on the WrestleMania card this year. They've been really poor with Solo Sikoa's booking over the past like 4 months at this point. Meanwhile, Jacob Fatu has done nothing but excel and flourish. So I'm glad that he's on the card, even if Solo isn't. People had way too high of expectations for the favor. It's gotten to the point now that if it wasn't a win and get into the night 2 main event, they're disappointed and let down. I tried to warn people. You could go back a few videos ago and I said that people were going to be disappointed if they're setting themselves up that the expectation of the favor was going to be that the winner of Punk, Seth, and Roman goes to the main event of night 2. That just doesn't make any sense considering there's been literally no narrative between those three and John Cena and Cody Rhodes. So you'd literally just be shoehorning the winner into a match at WrestleMania with literally no storyline, just doing it for the sake of doing it. I tried to temper people's expectations by maybe picking something that still gave the match some stakes, but not like to that level. Maybe winner goes on to have the first crack at whoever wins the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. But I always thought it was going to be the favor that we ultimately ended up getting, which was Paul Heyman coming out with CM Punk and being in his corner instead of Roman Reigns. Now, is that as glitzy and as glamorous and as ground shifting as getting into the night 2 main event? Absolutely not. But I do believe that to me is the best case scenario to make this triple threat match have even more like blood grudge feeling to it. It was the best favor available to help advance this story and make this even more of a WrestleMania Night 1 main event worthy match. And now this favor gives us proper beef between all 3 of these guys, because we had beef between Punk and Seth, we had beef between Seth and Roman, but we didn't have that beef between Roman and Punk, and now we do. Now we have a full trifecta, a triforce, if you will, of hatred between these 3. And that works because this in particular is the favor. Oh, that's my WWE champion! Roman. That's insane. That's actually insane strength. Let's go. Oh. Let's see.
She didn't catch her.
Oh.
Bloodline rules, bro.
It's gonna be bloodline rules. That was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club WrestleMania Edition Week 1, available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week and until WrestleMania 41, you'll be voting on some of the most popular WrestleMania matches of all time. This week, we're looking at the WrestleMania 32 Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania 38. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge at WrestleMania 37 for the Universal Championship. Triple H versus Sting at WrestleMania 31, and the once-in-a-lifetime match between John Cena and The Rock at WrestleMania 28. You'll be getting this and so much more, like the Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews with footage so you can see what we're talking about, the currently ongoing and almost finished Undertaker WrestleMania match watch-along, the currently ongoing Royal Rumble match watch-along, and so much more. All of that is available on Patreon, and it's stuff that we can never post here because it would just get blocked due to copyright. But I'm confident that if you even give the Patreon 1 month, if you try it for 1 month only, you will fall in love with all of the content that we post in the community over there. So go check it out. I'll put a direct link to the Patreon in the description of this video, as well as a link in the pinned comment. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support, but let's get you back to the video now. That Charlotte and Tiffany promo battle was so bad it was good. Like, no way that was planned. It felt like both sides went off of script with that 0-3 and Kaiser comment. I like the way that you put it. I think it was so bad it was good. I feel like that's why it works for me. Kind of like a crappy Netflix reality, like romance TV show. I kind of can get behind it, even though I know it's garbage TV. I'm sitting down entertained, even though it's garbage TV. I hated Tiffy's promo. This just showed that she had nothing of substance to say. Charlotte cooked her in kayfabe promo, while Tiffy had to bring her divorce, especially that 0-3 reference. Okay, let's not pretend like either of these two are innocent. If Tiffany Stratton went below the belt, I would say that Charlotte was significantly more below the belt. That line about Kaiser was so ruthless and unnecessary, and if it wasn't scripted, incredibly unprofessional. That Kaiser line felt like when you lose an argument and like with your buddies, and then the only comeback that you have is, yeah, well, I banged your mom. It felt like Charlotte was trying to get the last word for the sake of getting the last word, which is funny considering Charlotte told Tiffy to have the last word. It was just a clusterfuck of things, but again, I was entertained. Not gonna lie, at first I thought this Kevin Owens injury was his storyline of the notorious HBK knee injury / losing his smile shoot, but then I realized I was wrong. But the stories are kind of similar though, despite all of that. But I hope Kevin Owens recovers and can come back. Otherwise, he had a great career nonetheless. I want to be optimistic that Kevin Owens is going to return. We've seen recent returns from some pretty devastating injuries like Cope, now in AEW, formerly known as Edge. Very recently, Randy Orton, who in fact was older than Kevin Owens when his bad spinal injury ended up happening. So I'm hoping that Kevin Owens, even if this takes a long time, it took Randy 2 years to come back from his injury, I hope that we can still get Kevin Owens back in the ring. It's just kind of insane to think about the fact that he had all of those gruesome matches while having this injury. I just can't believe that was the case. I'm still in shock, man. Kevin Owens is one of my favorite WWE superstars of all time, and I really sincerely hope that we just didn't watch the the end of his career unfold before our very eyes. The thing is, with these injury angles or when these things happen, I always treat them as actual injuries, even if I end up getting work like it was a fake retirement angle. I just always choose to believe that they're real, because in case that they're not real, I don't want to be that dude that accused them of faking an injury when it was actually real. So I'm going to continue to assume that the Kevin Owens injury is for real and that the match between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton is off. And if I end up getting work, brother, then I got work. But again, more than anything, I just hope that Kevin Owens is able to go have his surgery, recover, spend time with his family, and if he's able to, and if he wants to, return back to the WWE ring. At least in some capacity, I would love to have Kevin Owens, even if it's on commentary, because this guy's just, honestly, he's just so good at everything. But best of luck, Kevin Owens. I know every single WWE and wrestling fan is rooting for you, man. Give the wise man his flowers. Paul just elevated this match into something that deserves the Mania main event a whole lot more than it already did. Yep, okay, so I think this is a really great point, because before I would argue that this was the main event of night one due to its sheer star power, and I mean fairly so, right? Like Roman, Punk, and Seth in one match, that'll main event pretty much any show that you wanted to main event. But now we have the proper trifecta of hatred, we've got the story elements, we've got the proper characters in place to make this a story-based worthy WrestleMania main event as well. And I think it's brilliant that they managed to use and leverage Paul Heyman to get us to this point. Paul Heyman's performance in this, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, was once again Oscar worthy. Paul Heyman is the best, dude. Kevin Owens is going to get the pop of a lifetime if he's able to return to in-ring action. I hope nothing but the best in his surgery and recovery. His absence is going to be felt and his amazing heel run is going to be missed. Thank you, Kevin. Man, this heel Kevin Owens is going to be missed. I felt like he was in the best run of his entire WWE career. He was having the best matches of his main roster career, if you ask me. And on top of that, he was doing some of the best character and promo work of his entire WWE main roster career. So it really does feel like an arrow to the gut to have Kevin Owens have to take what will be a very lengthy hiatus during this particular run. Obviously, the entire conversation needs to be Kevin Owens get healthy. I hope that he is able to come back if he wants to come back. But if I can be greedy just for like 1% of this, the greediness says that I'm going to miss having this amazing version of Kevin Owens on TV, especially at this time of year, and missing out on this WrestleMania match. But my greediness doesn't matter in this situation. What matters is the health of the performer, Kevin Owens. Is it just me, or does Seth Rollins not need to be part of this match? It's starting to feel like this is between Punk and Roman. Yeah, and then last week people were like, it's starting to feel like this should just be Seth and Roman. It's starting to feel like this should have just been Seth and Punk. This is why we needed this favor to be the favor that it ended up being, so that we can now finally connect these three. This segment made it feel like it was a Punk and Roman feud, but all the other things that have happened in the lead up to this makes this a proper triangle triple threat match where now all three dudes properly hate each other's guts. I'm just happy for Ray and his brother. I saw the video of Ray backstage crying after his debut, and man, I'm just so happy for them. How can you not fall in love with these guys? The passion of Penta's promo when he debuted was seen right through in the debut promo of Rey Fenix. He had a great entrance, great debut match, but that promo, man, even if he couldn't fully understand what he was saying because English isn't his first language, you felt the passion, right? You knew what he was trying to convey just by hearing the emotion in his voice. It felt so real, and I'm so happy for Rey Fenix as well. Rey Fenix should compete at WrestleMania somehow. I would assume so, right? Like if you bring Rey Fenix this close to WrestleMania, I would be shocked if it's not to put him in WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form. The thing is that one of the doors has closed, which was a United States Championship ladder match. I thought that they might go down that route, but now that we have a proper singles match between Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, I don't know where you put Rey Fenix. But again, if you're not going to put him on the WrestleMania card, I still question why debut him before WrestleMania. And because I still have that in my head, it leads me to believe that we will get him at WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form. I just don't know how. People should stop blaming who or what caused Kevin Owens' injury. I've already seen certain narratives online. It does nothing for anybody. Wish KO a speedy recovery. Yeah, this is so stupid. I know what narrative you're talking about, that Cody Rhodes was the one that injured Kevin Owens. Even if that is true, by the way, what is it to you? That doesn't matter to you. These are athletes that are putting their bodies on the line, and accidents happen. Even if it was in that match, what are you gonna villainize Cody Rhodes Rhodes because something happened during his match? No. On top of that, you don't know anything. You don't know when this injury happened, and I hate seeing all of these fake, false narratives on Twitter about what caused Kevin Owens' injury. First of all, it's really none of your business, and second of all, you making these assumptions is starting to villainize people that probably have nothing to do with said injury. So I ask you all, the ones that are trying to point fingers at who caused this, shut up, dude. Rey Fenix is amazing on his own as well as Penta, but the way that they're portraying them both practically the exact same is kind of odd. I feel like if they are gonna do that they should have just debuted them both together as a tag team, which is where they both shine the brightest. You know where you don't shine the brightest? Freaking grammar, dude. Period, commas, use them. I took like 10 tries trying to read this word vomit of a mess. I also just disagree with you because they weren't both available to the WWE at the same time. You got to remember that Rey Fenix was in contract hell with Tony Khan and AEW and was not able to leave his contract at the same time that Penta was available for the WWE. So you're basically suggesting holding off Penta for 4+ months just so that they could debut together as a tag team? I don't think so. Especially considering how much Penta has flourished as a single star, and I think they just want to use the same blueprint that worked for Penta for Rey Fenix now on Friday Night SmackDown. What an amazing debut for Rey Fenix. They really treated him like a star, and Nathan Frazier delivered as always, elevating this to a potentially one of the best TV debuts in WWE history. It was an unbelievably fun and good match, and what a brilliant decision from WWE to put Nathan Frazier as Rey Fenix's first match because they complemented each other beautifully. This wasn't just a great showcase of how good Rey Fenix is, what a great showcase of Nathan Frazier as well in front of the largest audience that he's competed in front of. This was awesome for everyone all around. This felt like a semi-waste of a favor. Sure, it gets Roman out of his comfort zone and to show that he can go without his wise man, but the favor could have been used in so many better ways, but in the end, the favor was kind of wasted. So I'm including this because this was a lot of people felt this way, and I always believe that if a lot of people feel a way, then there's got to be at least some justification to this. I disagree with you guys. I just do. CM Punk laid it out perfectly, explaining to everyone the history between CM Punk and Paul Heyman, the fact that it was Paul Heyman that continued to protect CM Punk when CM Punk wasn't supposed to belong, when he wasn't supposed to be there, and now CM Punk, now that he's reached the pinnacle, wants to share that moment with the guy that believed in him since the very beginning in Paul Heyman. It just so happens that Paul Heyman is attached to another dude, Roman Reigns. So this favor allows CM Punk and Paul Heyman to complete their full circle life storyline that they had with one another, while also creating intense amount of heat and actually creating a proper rivalry between Roman and CM Punk so that we can have a full trifecta of hatred between these three. It is the perfect favor to advance this storyline to nuclear white hot levels of awesome. And I still feel like the reason people feel like this was a wasted favor is because they set their expectations on something else and completely went narrow-minded and completely had blinders as to the other things that the favor could be. Again, would a favor of having a night 2 main event add more stakes to the match? Sure, but it wouldn't add more story, narrative, and elements to it. What we got with the favor, to me, was the right choice. It's unfortunate that Orton versus Kevin has to be scrapped. If possible, they should start whatever Orton's post-Mania story was going to be a week early. They'll give him a random singles match at Mania. It won't be worth it. I don't know, man. That's tough. We have Backlash immediately after WrestleMania, like literally like 2 weeks and a bit after WrestleMania. And I think a lot of people were expecting that program to be whoever wins the WWE Championship against Randy Orton in his hometown of St. Louis. And you can't really start that a week early very well when John Cena and Cody Rhodes are kind of handcuffed to each other at WrestleMania. And I don't think it makes sense to just randomly add Randy Orton to make this a triple threat match. I don't know what they're going to do with Randy Orton. I'm happy to hear options in the comments, but it feels like they might not actually come up with something of substance in time. I'm sure they will. Maybe they started something and kicked the tires with Nick Aldis. That would be interesting, but I'm interested to hearing from you guys in the comment section. What should Randy's WrestleMania program be now? One of the best feuds going into WrestleMania. God damn it. You're just fundamentally right, even though I'm still just not particularly interested in Damian being what Drew McIntyre does at WrestleMania. It doesn't change the fact that these two took lemons and made the most delicious lemonade of all time. This is a very good from the ground floor grassroots WrestleMania feud that I'm fully behind. The 2 promos that these two cut that were pre-recorded were fantastic, and I'm in. Again, I never clowned on the actual potential of this feud. I always just clowned on the idea that Damian just sort of felt like not a good enough prize for Drew McIntyre. But hey, now that we're here, these two are making the absolute best of this situation. So you're telling me on Monday, Lyra defends against Bayley, and then on Friday, Lyra tags with Bayley? Right. I mean, yeah, I can't defend that. That's actually crazy. I get that the match for the Intercontinental Championship is supposed to be friendly, you know, it's between two people that respect each other. Lyra Valkyria looks up to Bayley, but it doesn't change the fact that pre-announcing them as a tag team before their Intercontinental Championship match actually happens is just weird. I think it also is kind of spoiling the fact that we're probably going to have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez insert themselves into that Intercontinental Championship match to give proper motivation for Bayley and Lyra to have this tag team actually make sense. Yeah, this is weird. I have no defense for this. I really hope that that wasn't the last time that we see Kevin Owens in a WWE ring. The fact that he wrestled in 2 brutal matches in the past 3 months is incredible, sending so many prayers to Kevin and his family. Yeah, let's think about that, right? So he had the Saturday night's main event match in December. He then would go on to have that insane ladder match with Cody Rhodes, the absolutely nutty and bananas unsanctioned match in Toronto with Sami Zayn. He went through hell while dealing with this injury. I think at the end, if this ends up being Kevin Owens' last stretch, at the very minimum, it was an unbelievably good and memorable stretch as a character, as a performer, and he got to have potentially what I hope is not his last match against Sami Zayn, his best friend in Canada of all places. Again, I hope that that isn't the case. I'm just trying to find silver lining in the event that it is. I think Randy will have an open challenge at WrestleMania, and either Rusev or Aleister Black will return. I guess I could see this, but I think it would be kind of crazy to have Rusev or Aleister Black answer an open challenge to Randy Orton when I think a lot of people want to see Randy Orton win, and Randy Orton should be winning considering he's just back from a long hiatus. Imagine coming back from a long hiatus once again to go on another like losing streak of singles matches at PLEs. I don't think Randy can lose whatever match he has at WrestleMania, and I don't think either of these two could lose their return match. Man, when I tell you I literally screamed yes when Jacob won, I mean I screamed so excited to see him wrestle at WrestleMania. It's going to be a hell of a good match. The last man standing match, by the way, let's give that some flowers too. That match was awesome. Braun Strowman was a beast, a menace in this match alongside Jacob Fatu. That is one of my favorite matches of this young year so far. But I still think it's kind of crazy that, you know, a month ago, if you told me that the Intercontinental Championship was going to be the one defended in a multi-person match and the US title was going to be in a singles match, I'd say you've got it backwards. But hey, here we are. I'm happy for Jacob Fatu. I already kind of talked about this. Jacob Fatu absolutely has earned this moment to have this singles match at WrestleMania. Orton versus Magnus. Let's make it happen, baby. I'd love to see Crash Out Nick Aldis and him get potentially a final match. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of people that just watch WWE that don't know that Nick Aldis is like a legendary wrestler in his own right, NWA champion. He used to go by the name of Magnus in TNA. I would love to see Nick Aldis put on the boots one more time in a match against Randy Orton. Nick Aldis has said that if he were to return for another match, that Orton would be at the very top of his list. So I'm kind of more down for this than I would be for Rusev or Aleister Black, because I feel like we can confidently have Orton beat Magnus / Nick Aldis, and that would be okay. The fact that this is the first women's non-title match at a WrestleMania in 19 years, and it features 2 black women is truly special. Plus, the story behind it is truly amazing. This match will be great and will give Jade a great first win at WrestleMania. That's a crazy stat. I did not know that it's been that long since we've had a proper women's singles match without championship gold being on the line. And if there is a match, if there is a feud, if there's 2 women that have absolutely deserved this accolade, it is these 2. I have said it before and I'll keep saying it, just on paper, this has been maybe the best built feud going into WrestleMania thus far. And there's no glitz and glamour of titles or main events or anything like that. Just a good story between 2 great performers. And sometimes that's all you need. And to me, this is going to be a star-making moment for Jade Cargill. And this is a star-making moment for Naomi as well. This has been the best case scenario for both of these performers. I'm very happy for these 2. I'm glad that they're going to get their time to shine at WrestleMania in a singles match. This is 100% deserved. This is like one of my favorite things going on in wrestling at the moment. All right, folks, thank you so very much for watching today's Hot Takes video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, goodbye, and get out of here.